This is a map of England, and you'll notice just down here some islands that seem like they should belong to France. I mean, the closest point to mainland France is just 14 miles away, whereas the closest point to mainland Britain is over 55 miles away. So, how did the Channel Islands end up like this? To start off, 7 of the islands are inhabited, albeit 2 have a population less than 4, which doesn't really count. The 7 inhabited islands are, in decreasing order of population, Jersey, Guernsey, Alderney, Sark, Herm, Jethu and Brecqhou. There are 13 more uninhabited islands scattered around as well. These islands do have some connotations to France, with lots of names being French, especially on the towns of Sark. Anyway, let's go back in time and discover the interesting history behind these isles. The earliest evidence of humans on the Channel Islands date back to 250,000 years ago, when it was much easier to cross the sea because it wasn't there. These guys had the islands to themselves until the Romans came along, possibly built some stuff, traded, and gave the 3 main islands names, as well as naming the entire archipelago the Lanier Islands. By the time the 6th century had come, some Christians came and went and made them part of the Diocese of Coutances, and the Romans had some other problems to deal with, so some Celts inhabited the islands. Things stayed quiet until the 9th century, until the Normans thought, "We like the look of these islands, let's invade them." So naturally they invaded and kicked out all the Celts, and they also got rid of all the ancient Latin names. Around 933, these islands were gifted to William I, not the Conqueror, he pops up later, by the King of France, Raoul, who had somehow still ruled while the Celts were there. Don't ask me, I don't even know. This made the islands part of the Duchy of Normandy, and technically the first part of conquering England. In 1066 they continued to be a part of the Duchy of Normandy under William II, who was the Conqueror. And then 200 years later, King John lost the Angevin Empire to King Philip of France, however somehow kept the Channel Islands, probably due to dodginess, and this was officially recognised in 1259 in the Treaty of Paris signed by Henry III. During the 14th century, the islands were under very changing governments, with some parts being French, some treaties being signed as well, various shifts, but by the end of it, the islands sort of came up belonging to both, meaning it was sort of a free trade zone between England and France. And this all lasted until 1689, when the Glorious Revolution happened. And throughout this period, many attempts have been made to get rid of the, by this point, stupidly old Diocese of Coutances, and all failed until Winchester had success in 1569, ending almost 1,000 years of Coutances rule, which hadn't really mattered until now. The Channel Islands became part of the last piece of remaining British territory in 1588 after the fall of Calais in France, and this all lasted until 1801, when British rulers stopped their claims to the French throne, long story in itself, and therefore gave the Channel Islands the now today's title of British Crown dependency under the sovereignty of neither Britain nor France, but of the British Crown directly. This essentially means that the islands rely on Britain for things like funding and defence, but can govern themselves. For example, even nowadays, healthcare is not free at the point of use for all Channel Islanders. Many French names from the Norman conquest still remain throughout the islands, however. The Germans did occupy the islands during World War II, and built the only concentration camp on British soil on Alderney. However, the Germans' claim only lasted until VE Day, when the islands were returned to Britain and brought us to where we are today. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.